G'day and welcome to the Grow a Small Business Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Trewin. Each week, we speak with an owner who has grown a business with 5 to 30 team members to something bigger. Diving into their numbers and unearthing the pain they've experienced, we explore what they did to overcome each barrier and what they would do differently from day one. Let's get into it. Welcome everyone. Today I'm interviewing Kate Parker from Harrier Trail Running based in Nottingham, United Kingdom. Thanks for your time today, Kate.
Hi, Troy. Thank you so much. Really nice to meet you.
Let's start with how we know each other. I listen religiously to Ian and Mark Hammersley, the Hammersley Brothers podcast each week, e-commerce experts. And somehow you stumbled into my feed a video on their Vimeo channel. And I thought it was a really impressive story that you've got there with your business. So I thought you'd be a great guest to have for us.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Ian and Mark have been brilliant. They definitely got us off from ground zero. And they've helped us through lots of different aspects of growing the business. So, yeah.
Yeah, and very funny as well. I can't remember which one, but one's based in New Zealand, the other one's Manchester. And they spent about a third of the cast at the start talking about the weather, but they are quite funny.
Yeah. So we started out working with Mark. He's in New Zealand, and then Ian is UK based in Manchester. And we started out with Mark and going through a core program, part of like a discussion group for small businesses, which was really helpful at the start. And then later on, we did their deep dive program predominantly with Ian, where we went to Manchester and we took the business to the next level after we hit the 1 million mark. They've both got brilliant skills. They're quite different personalities, but bring a lot to it. And just what they've helped with e-commerce with us has been just cut through all the noise, basically.
Yeah, right. Now, I pick up a lot from their podcasts. Got a couple of businesses I work with in the e-commerce space. So I highly recommend, if you're in that space, definitely listen to them. Tell our audience a bit about your business, what it does and how it makes money.
So we are Harrier Trail Running. We are a direct-to-customer e-commerce model, and we design trail running equipment and kit. So everything from hydration vests to poles, to waterproofs, to socks, everything but the shoes, basically. And we've not gone into apparel yet. Maybe we will, but at the moment it's the equipment. And I work directly with the suppliers to design the equipment, and sometimes with third-party designers to help with getting the designs right. And then we get them produced, ship them to the UK, and then have that direct customer model.
Yeah, fantastic. And how did you start out?
We started out, I brought something like 50 first aid kits off Alibaba and sold them through Facebook. So yeah, I just thought I'd have a dabble. I heard about this website Alibaba from my friends who'd started an Amazon business, and they did a lot of cosmetics and beauty industry. And I was really into trail running at the time, but I'd looked at all different things that I could sell on Amazon through using helium-10, everything from pond liner to bum bags to pocket watches, all sorts of bits and bobs. But then when I found a niche that I personally loved, because I was really into trail running, and then I realized that I could buy products, brand them myself quite easily, I thought I'd have a go at that. And it took off from there.
What year did you start the business and how old were you then?
We started in 2019. I was 35 and I was working a full-time job at the time, and just thought I'd do it as something on the side because I've always wanted to have my own business. So yeah.
Oh, great. And so how far in after launching 2019 were you able to quit your job and go full time?
Well, we took off quite quickly because in 2019, 2020 was when COVID hit. So for us, people were not going to the gyms, they were buying online. So trail running like rocketed. I think at the moment, trail running is the most fast growing popularity sport in the world. So we did really well with that. We pitched it at the right level. So it took off really quickly. And I remember my father-in-law saying, well, give it a year or two before you quit your full-time job. And by then it was, I'd had it going for about 4 months. And I said, Dave, I've already handed in my notice. So
yeah, that's great.
It didn't take long. As soon as I knew that investing my time in the business would almost equal my salary or what I needed to live on. I just jumped from one to the other, but there was a lot of crossover at the start, working very late nights, weekends, both of them on par for, say, a 6 month intense period before I could leave.
It's that old adage, why you go into small business, owning one, you can choose to work when you work those 80 hours a week.
Yeah, definitely. So I really like to work very early in the morning or very late at night and have my middle of the day hours free to, exercise, see family, those sorts of things. So that worked for me really well.
You have some key numbers you can share to illustrate the growth of the business over the last 5 years?
Yeah, so we've grown quite steadily, 30% year on year. We started out with turnover in year one of around $400,000. Like I said, we grew pretty quickly because of COVID hitting, and we got in there quite quickly. And then this year, year five, we are set to turn over about $2.5 million. So it's been about 30% growth year on year. Same with traffic, same with sales. We've kept a really consistent conversion rate. We've kept quite a consistent average order value. We could probably do with increasing that a little bit. We're trying to get in higher ticket items as we get more capital behind us. But we managed to get that revenue from the first year with some investment from the government. We had a bounce back loan, which was there to support businesses through COVID. So we used that to get us off the ground. I wouldn't have been able to get to that figure just using my own cash.
Yeah, that's phenomenal growth, 30% a year. Well done, Kate.
Thank you.
What about number of full-time equivalent team members? So you started part-time, and what full-time equivalents would you be at now?
So it was just myself for the first 2 years. And I quite enjoyed that actually, because everything from packing parcels to marketing to accounts, I was doing everything, website upkeep, but it's given me a really strong understanding of everything that's needed in the business going forwards and people doing their jobs properly. So I did everything for 2 years, then got pregnant, had my son, and tried to keep going, but I physically couldn't pack parcels when I was 8 months pregnant. So begrudgingly, I had to bring my husband into the business, and he would help me with the day to day, the physical tasks. I would do the administration tasks, and he stayed in the business. So he was in teaching and then left that to come and work for the business. And then now we've got about 5.5 equivalent full-time employees across things like the warehouse. So we do our own fulfillment rather than using a 3PL. We've got a couple of people in marketing. We've got myself, got a website person, customer service. So a bit of a spread across all different areas.
Yeah, fantastic. And you mentioned your top line is around 2.25 million. That's US dollars. So does that mean that you sell outside of the UK, or is it mainly just the UK you focus on?
Yeah, we decided to go for a UK focus, and that is what we're starting with. We had a lot of problems with Brexit. We did used to sell into Europe. We did get tax registered to sell into Europe, but there's still issues going from the UK, especially into places like Ireland. So we pulled back. We're predominantly UK. We have a few sales into other trail running territories, places like the USA, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, even a bit of South Africa. But what we chose to do, which was different to maybe some other businesses, is to have a wider range of products, less territory. We wanted to try and master the UK and have our equipment very specific for UK weather. Because, say, in the US, you've got very hot climates in places where it's popular with trail running. Our range may need to be adapted for hot climates, and say in Australia, whereas in the UK, where it's just constant drizzle and cold weather.
I lived in London 4 years. Is what, 3 days of summer from memory?
There is, yeah. And you still take your waterproof out with you.
Yeah, that's it.
So we wanted to make sure that our products were right for a certain climate and also not overstretch ourselves, because if we did take off really quickly, say in another territory like Germany, which was similar to ours, how would we cope with the warehouse? How would we cope with social media? With customer service? Because you've got a lot of people saying we can help grow your business, double, triple it. But actually, when you're managing that, how can you not go out of stock? How can you ensure quality stays the same? So we just wanted to be really careful with that growth and not get led up the garden path and grow too quickly.
I think that's very wise, Kate. Slow and steady, although 30% growth is not slow. So, yeah, very, very good. When was the moment you felt like you had succeeded?
I think, and I still get it now, it's if I'm driving in my car and I see people running in our kit.
Yeah, yeah.
And I feel like beeping and going, woo, hello.
Wind the window down, high five. Mm.
Yeah, yeah. But people actually do that in Harrier kit. They feel like they're part of a community, and it's a really nice feeling. But when you see or somebody that you don't know has just got something that you've created on, it's yeah, still gives me a buzz. I love it.
What does success look like to you?
It's time with my son and time with my mum as well, because she's retired now. So everything about starting the business has always been about time for me, because I used to be chained to a desk, 9 to 5 job. And I'm sure a lot of people, if they've got that entrepreneurial spirit listening to your podcast, Troy, would feel that I don't have to be at this desk 8 hours a day to achieve what needs doing. And I always felt that time was ticking away being at work, whether it's commuting or being chained to a desk. And you don't get the time back with your kids or with your family, with your parents. So that was just really important to me to have part time and have that rather than the cash side of things.
Number one thing you'd recommend to marketing a fast growing business?
I would say focus on customer reviews. Make sure that you've got really strong customer reviews. You can turn to things like affiliates and social media promoters and things like that. But actually, if you've not got quality products and your customers are happy, that's your biggest marketing tool, because that will spread your message quickest.
And a great measurement, a tool that you use, and I'm a big advocate for, is the Net Promoter Score, NPS. And tell us your number. I was blown away by this before you record. What's your Net Promoter Score?
Yeah, our net promoter score currently is 97. Our reviews on Reviews.io that we use with our Shopify platform is something like 4.95 from about 15,000 reviews. We are so careful with our reviews. If we get a single 3-star review, it's a big deal for us. It's totally a big deal. And our customer service manager, Rachel, is so like protective of that score, which is great because that's an extension of how I feel about it. So that's been a bit of an obsession for us, keeping that high.
Well, holy shit, Kate, that is a phenomenal number. There is only one guest I've had on that's beaten that number. That's a positive 100. That was Tara from Blue Derby Pods. They've got like eco-friendly cabins here in Tasmania, northeast Tasmania. And when I asked that question, because I knew they use Net Promoter Score, she said, well, we've only ever got 10 out of 10. And they've had thousands of mountain bikers through. To get 97 is phenomenal. They say, I think the average is around positive 15. And sorry, for the audience, we'll link through to a blog post I wrote 14 years ago. And there's another link in there to a 10-minute cast where I explain how Net Promoter Score works. But the average is about positive 15. Anything above 50 is excellent, but above 70 is amazing. But to hit 97, that just tells us that you have a raving tribe of fans that are following your brand. That is phenomenal. Well done.
That's great. I mean, I've just got to add a caveat with that, and that is that we don't not have issues. We do have, sometimes faults with products. We do have issues with delivery, with those sorts of things. So, it's, I guess, how we've turned it around has been super quick to resolve issues with things. Yeah.
Yeah, it's about the customer service, how you handle those issues. Yeah. How did you fund the business?
So we started, I think I had about 5K at the start to buy my first aid kits
Hmm.
and some bivy bags and a few soft bottles. So I put about £5,000 in. Felt like a lot of money at the time. I watched a few videos on YouTube of people who put like, say, 3 to 5K in just to start off with a little product to try it. And then since then, like I said, it was that bounce back loan, that 50 grand that really got us off the marks for bigger turnover.
And so you haven't had to take investors on along the way?
No, I don't really want to use investors for as long as possible. Want to be able to regain control of the business, that steady sort of growth. I mean, you see some companies, massive ones like Gymshark and things. I guess they must have used investors to scale very quickly. But I would feel quite out of control with investors, so we've avoided it.
Yeah, I mean, if you need funding to grow, have you considered crowdfunding?
I just don't want to give up shares in the company. So I think at the moment we don't need it. And I've been able to secure that finance through help through an organization called Female Founder Finance. And they've really helped steer me in the direction of some great like loans and some capital programs. And that's been enough for us.
Yeah, I was equity precious early in my business career, started late 99. I've now had 16 different businesses with over 30 business partners, and I should have sold equity in some of my companies earlier on to get the funding in to grow. But I'd highly recommend you consider, and I've got a crowdfunding folder. I've got about 200 investment memorandums that I've kept over many different industries and a summary spreadsheet. I'll shoot that through to you to have a look through. But there's two reasons why I think you should seriously consider it. One, you've got a rabid tribe of people following you. So the average investment would be, let me convert this into pounds, about 800 quid, is the average investment. Mum and dad kind of people want to, if they're right behind your brand. And the other reason why is because it's quite cheap capital in the sense that often it's anywhere between 4 and 8 times sales is the valuation, not profit, depending on your industry. Some like SaaS can be higher, obviously, but it may be something that you may want to consider down the track.
Yeah, that is very interesting. Yeah. Like you say, we've got a really strong customer base and people rooting for us. So maybe people who are more emotionally invested in wanting to see the company do well.
Yeah, and I've done a few podcasts with people who have crowdfunded. I'll shoot that link through to you as well to have a listen to.
Cool.
If you were to start up today with plenty of funding, would you go into your industry?
Yeah, definitely. So it was, I don't think it always needs to be an industry that you're passionate about as such, that it's like a hobby. But it was good for word of mouth with trail running. So that has helped us a lot. So yeah, definitely go into it again.
Can you outline the most stressful point in your small business growth journey so our audience can learn from it?
Yeah, there's a few of these. So managing cash flow is always difficult, especially if you are a stock reliant business model. So yeah, that's not been easy. Dealing with product faults as well, but there's things that you can put in place. But I think probably the biggest emotional one for me has been dealing with staff, dealing with people rather than tasks. It depends on your personality type, but for me, going from task orientated to people orientated has been a major shift that you do lose sleep over sometimes.
Yep, as we like to say here across small business, people are the hardest thing in small business and its greatest asset. So it's tough to do, but that's why we put our program together, business transformation program, because more than half our teachings in our courses are around people being a better manager and a leader.
Yes.
But that's where the value gets unlocked because obviously you've limited with your time and you need to leverage your team. What area in business do you feel you've had to work on the most to add the greatest value?
The product range, keep improving quality. People just don't want stuff that's going to break, basically. If you're going to provide a service, it has to be good quality. And if you don't do that, then there's no point in working on anything else. So constant improvement for us.
What have you enjoyed the least about managing fast growth?
Like I said, going from task orientated to people orientated. Yeah, because my personality type is I'm a bit of a submarine. Like I like to go off and do some deep thinking work, spreadsheet work, and come back up. And sometimes there's nowhere to hide if it's having to work with people and make sure they're okay.
What do you love most about growing a small business?
I just love to be able to do things how I want. So if you're in another company and you might get frustrated with things moving quite slowly or people not doing things as well as you think, I've just enjoyed having certain standards and ways of working that suit me. and just having time with my family, basically being able to call the shots and how and when I work.
What has been the biggest mindset shift for you in your small business growth journey?
Being a leader, having that responsibility of being a leader and being confident in my decisions has been one that I've had to learn quite quickly.
The number one habit you think a small business owner needs to develop and maintain?
Profit focused for sure. I think that we can get swept away with all sorts of things to do with marketing, social media, different hypes with businesses. But unless you keep bringing it back to the profit, you won't have a business because it's so difficult. So keep going back to the figures and focus on the net profit.
Yeah, a lot of people can get caught up in the vanity metric of sales, but if there's not underlying profit, it's just a waste of time.
Definitely.
One or more of these growth pillars standing in the way of you living the lifestyle you signed up for? People, strategy, marketing, funding, or systems. We have a free ebook filled with actions and templates on each of these growth pillars. Download for free from our website, growasmallbusiness.com. Can you talk to how you've added people to the team, some wins, mistakes, and advice for those listening?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is just to be crystal clear with role expectations. And that could be down to the detail with, say, for example, with our returns, I expect our returns tub to be emptied every evening and things to be back on the shelf. And that is written down. So it's not you're looking after returns, get to the nitty gritty of exactly what's expected, because it just really helps with having those difficult conversations if people aren't doing their job to certain standards that you require. So that would be like a big thing. The other one that I've been thinking about recently as well is the use of freelancers. So we've obviously got like a team of people now, but I really value the use of freelancers because they bring instant high level skills to your business very quickly for a set amount of work. You don't have the headaches of ongoing salaries. So I'd really recommend use freelancers for as long as you can, for as much as you can, where it's appropriate.
What kind of roles are you thinking for freelancing?
Anything that's highly skilled and project specific. So perhaps something like SEO, design work for evergreen content, and perhaps things like ads can be quite difficult as well, rather than agencies. I'd much prefer to work with an individual person than an agency as well.
Yeah. What are some of the things you recommend to building a sustainable and kick-ass culture to help with the growth?
I would say be really clear about what the core values are for your team as well as your company. So they might be different. You might have 5 customer facing core values and 5 internal team core values. Make sure that these are really well documented, that you keep coming back to them. Respect is a big one for us, respect for the company, each other, and for the customers, and keep integrating that.
Tell our audience how you've handled balance.
So it's not always easy. I try to have 3 days per week with work-life balance. So I work 3 days, but in reality, that's a little bit longer. I know people say to switch off emails, say from your phone as soon as you leave work. Actually, for me, I leave my emails on my phone because I feel more relaxed, not guessing that something's happening without me knowing, or somebody's trying to contact me. So for me, I have my emails on there. I don't look at them when I'm with my son or my family, but say if before I go to bed, I want to have a quick look through, think what I'm doing the next day. For me, that gives me peace of mind. So do what works for you.
How much professional development have you invested in yourself?
Not much, actually. Probably not as much as I should do. I do tend to make good use of funded courses. So, for example, we've got a few different government schemes in the UK where you can go on managerial leadership courses, which I've been on quite a few of those. And I listen to the Hammersley Brothers podcast to kind of stop me getting so blinkered into our own business. I can see other things that are going on. And that's it, really.
Have you had mentors or coaches along the way?
Yeah, I have. I find that this is really important. And maybe that's why I haven't done more of the personal development. So I've had a go with free mentor schemes and board schemes. They're okay, but I feel like sometimes the advice can be not quite as hard hitting or in depth as sometimes that you need. So now I have a paid business mentor. His name's Kieran Perry. He's based in the UK. And Kieran is just, that somebody's got your back, and he brings it back down to reality with the profits and how I'm working, what my goals are. And if you're a leader, and you've got a growing team, it can sometimes be quite a lonely place at the top, because you're not sure if you're making the right decisions. You're not sure if you're being led up the garden path with certain things. So if you've got a mentor who's profit focused and he knows you, I think that can be really important for you to have that support.
Do you have a board of directors or advisors?
No, we tried a board scheme, which was sorry, let me get my words. We tried a board scheme which was funded by the government. It didn't really work because they didn't truly understand the business. So you spent half of the session explaining things and then to give you advice that they didn't really know about your business. So it hasn't worked for us at this point, maybe further down the line.
Okay, we're on to our final 5 questions. What do you think is the hardest thing in growing a small business?
Being confident in your choices. There's a lot of different ways that you can take your business in the early days, a lot of different ways for growth, whether it's territories, range, all sorts of things, raising capital. And I think to be confident in what you're doing is tricky.
Favorite business book which has helped you the most?
I love the old school business books, things like Stephen Covey with the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People have been 2 of the biggest inspirations for me.
Have you read Michael Gerber's The E-Myth?
No. Oh, yes, I have. I've got it.
Yeah.
I did. I bought it. I read half of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any great podcasts or online learning tools you use for your own professional development?
So I do like the Hammersley Brothers podcast. It's very focused on e-commerce, so that's a good one for me.
One tool you'd recommend to help grow a small business?
I just like Excel. I use Excel for everything. Back to basics, good Excel spreadsheet for KPIs, cash flows, profit and loss, everything. I find it great.
Please tell me you weren't an accountant in your previous life.
No, my husband was, but he hated it.
Yes, I love my spreadsheets as well. I find solace when I'm procrastinating to dive into a spreadsheet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Finally, my favorite question: what would you tell yourself on day 1 of starting out 5 years ago?
I would say to be strong, keep the focus, and don't settle for less than you expect.
Great. Well done on the growth, Kate. It's over 5 years going from yourself part-time to now 5.5, and 30% growth per annum is phenomenal. Net Promoter Score, I'm blown away with positive 97. So congratulations to you and the team. I think a wonderful brand, great business. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Really appreciate it.
That's it. Thanks for listening. Please leave a review in iTunes or whatever platform you listen to us on. It means more small business owners will find our cast and help people with their business growth journey.